Hit record, and welcome back to Zombie SquadCAST. And this episode, joining me is Denise Joyner, and Denise is a fellow Towson grad. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I didn't graduate from there, but I did attend there.
Okay.
I left there in '81, so it was a good while ago.
Okay. And I also see that, are you a vet? Are you still in the military?
I was. That was probably more than 30 years ago. I was in the
Okay.
military for a while. I was an OR tech.
OR, okay.
Yeah.
Operating room, I see.
Yes.
Wow, okay. And studied television at Baltimore City Public Access, I see,
Right.
and all sorts of credentials here. So Denise and myself, we're connected through a number of fellow filmmakers, actors and actresses, entertainment professionals of some sort. And so Denise, if you don't mind introducing yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do.
I would say, to sum it all up for me, I'm just someone who wants to help other people in a positive way through the means of entertainment, to make lives better in some kind of way, to make a positive impact. And I do that through the means of entertainment. I do that through the means of doing workshops. I do strategic planning. I teach acting classes, different things like that. So if it can help to make somebody's life better, whether it's through making them laugh, bringing some important information or whatever, that's pretty much who I am and what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for most of us, I mean, you have a few actors or filmmakers that are in it for the wrong reason, fueling their own ego, producers that want to work their way up to a higher position to maybe take advantage of others. But myself, I have a passion of wanting to make, inspirational, action-packed, emotional product, whether it be film, TV, music videos, what have you, things that just maybe not even narrative, but just something that invokes an emotion to inspire others. Absolutely.
Right.
We're on the same page with just wanting to inspire and reach an audience, not just in a money-making way. Of course, I'm blessed to be at a stage in life, before the quarantine, that I was able to do what I love and make a buck or two from it.
Okay.
And of course, I want to be able to make ends meet by doing it.
Of course.
But at the same time, I want to enjoy it, and I want it to be impactful and meaningful, as well as support the family and pay the bills sort of mindset as well.
Of course.
That's awesome. So how would you say you've been impacted by our current state of affairs? Are you currently in South Carolina?
I am.
Okay, so
I'm in the Columbia area of South Carolina.
Okay, so how would you say right now that your aspirations and your entrepreneurial efforts, your productions, and you have been impacted, within the last, what's it been, a month and a half now?
I would say that the impact has been steady. I have to say it's been steady, even though I've not been able to get out and physically do some of the shoots that I used to do. When you're a solopreneur, you wear all of the hats, you do all of it. But so it hasn't been that. However, I do a lot of promotional video campaigns, and many of those kind of things I can do from my home. And
Sure.
I work with a realtor who is a client, and a lot of those things I pick up the phone and say, okay, this is what I need you to do. She sends me whatever it is I need, and I continue on that way. I have another client that's an environmentalist, and so that for me has been steady, I have to say, on the business side of things.
Okay. Yeah, on this show we discussed it a number of times, how it's unfortunate that we are quarantined and that we're sheltered in place and we can't physically, personally interact with others. But I think we're blessed that it's 2020 and we have so much online streaming and online, reaching out to that, and Zoom and Google Hangouts and FaceTime, and I mean, even texting emails, and
Right, true. Very true.
even just simply texting pictures, like we did 10, 15 years ago. And
Right.
I'm in the middle of a thunder and lightning storm. I don't know if you can tell, but
Ah, okay. We had that yesterday.
yeah.
So
But we still have thunder and lightning storms, and we can. So when it comes to that, we can just remember, well, a year ago, 6 months ago, if this was going on, we'd be staying inside, staring out the window, watching the lightning and the thunder, and being excited about that. So we still have, those small little instances. But with today's technology, the video games and playing video games with friends online, even on a tablet, if not on a big Xbox, PS4, doing so, you mentioned that you're also a podcaster and an interviewer, and we have this technology where we can just simply jump on this app, whether it be Zoom or Hangouts, whatever, and still reach out and still produce content, share thoughts, share ideas, and inspire.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly a podcaster, but I do have an online television station. I publish an online magazine.
Right, right.
And so with the magazine, right now it's on hold. I've had it on hold for probably a couple of years now, because being a solopreneur, I had to kind of make a choice of what was important at the time, and other things were important at the time. But as a publisher, yeah, same thing. Like you're talking about the podcast, definitely putting that information out. With the online station, what I'm excited about, putting that information out, getting that information, I can broadcast or publish my clients' videos and different things like that on there as well. Technology, like anything else, has its pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
And if used wisely, it can be a great asset.
Of course, absolutely. And I think for the most part, it's unique for me to see the commercials that are coming out now. And I don't have, the basic cable or the premium cable, but I have the streaming packages, say Hulu, Netflix, Prime. And so with Hulu, there's still advertisements. And you see you see a lot more of these companies utilizing the what we used to call social branding media as their main source of media now. And some critics might say, oh, they're exploiting the crisis to further their brand. But at the same time, it's kind of inspiring to see, videos of people still holding on to each other the best they can, even if there is the sheet of glass or there is this plastic sheet blocking them. They have to cover with masks, face masks, gloves, the whole plastic gown, the whole bio gown. And they're still able to interact one way or another. And there's still this hope that, I've mentioned before that going outside and seeing my neighbors, I might not have waved at them before, but now everyone's waving.
There you go.
Even if it's across the street.
Yeah.
When I was jogging, when I would be jogging down the street, I had my headphones on. It's kind of tunnel vision with the horse blinders on. But now, if I see someone and I'm jogging by, it's like wave at everybody, waving at all the neighbors in their yards. They're waving back. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, when you talk about impact, how has it impacted you business-wise? I explained how it has impacted me, but on a social level and on a personal level, just like you just got finished saying, you're more sensitive to your neighbors. You're more aware of who they are. Making phone calls that I would not maybe have made to friends. Checking on family members to see how they're doing, that kind of thing. Eating more healthy. I was eating healthy before, but being even more attentive to what I eat and how I eat, health-wise, those kind of things.
Sure.
Even on a spiritual, I'm a spiritual person. I'm one of those Christians. I believe in Jesus Christ and all of that. It's drawn me closer to to him and to prayer. And, you know, I kind of got away from that. So it was a reconnection spiritually for me. So the impact has its pros and cons. And I think one of the hardest things for people to do is to live in the now.
Okay.
We tend to live either in the future or in the present, planning, trying to see what's going to happen, plan it out, you know, all these kind of things, or we live in the past. We're stuck back there somewhere instead of enjoying the moment. What's happening right now? It's kind of a hard thing to do, especially when you're an entrepreneur. You have that entrepreneur type mindset.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah. No, I agree. You know, like I mentioned before, me and the wife were blessed to bring home a baby boy March 4th or 5th. Yeah, March 4th or 5th, we brought him home for the hospital. He was born February 29th. So he's a late baby. And, you know, a day or two later, it was the quarantine. It was the stay inside, shelter in place type of lifestyle. And so some people are just getting trapped in their own heads, and they're struggling to, you know, deal with the cabin fever. They're struggling to, some people might be cracking up. Some people might be, what else is there to do but just drink and watch TV? But me and the wife are so blessed that we have this newborn baby that it's like you said, we're living in the now. We're living in the now with the kid, and we're right in front of this kid's face this whole time. I'm still in the National Guard. I've been blessed.
Okay.
I've been blessed that the whole National Guard, the whole DC National Guard, has not been called up on a mandatory basis.
Yeah.
There were a couple of small little missions where they asked for volunteers, and I said, you know, I've got this 1 month, I've got this 2-week-old, this 3-week-old, this 1-month-old. If you tell me it's mandatory, I'll do it. But if it's voluntary, I'll have to pass, because I got to stay with the kids, stay with the wife. Because if I did go, then understandably the wife said, hey, I'm going to grab the kid, grab some stuff. We're going to go to my parents, because God knows what I might get exposed to. So I have all these different factors and elements that are going into effect. But
Yeah.
so I chose to stay home with the kid, and the kid's starting to laugh and giggle, and I'm seeing all these little subtle moments that even if there wasn't a quarantine, he being a 2-week-old to a 1-month-old is probably not going to go outside that much. I might be gone at work. I would come home. The wife might be gone at work.
Right.
She would come home. We might be doing daycare. There might be these small little moments we'd miss, but it's like we're actually absorbing every second of every moment of this kid's life. If he was 5, if he was 10, if he was a high schooler, that might be different, you know, but we're able to really mold this kid and teach him and stuff like that.
Children are one of the things, and I'm not calling it kid things, but one of the things that really help a person to be in the moment. Children, I mean, they're always in the moment. You know, they're not out there somewhere. They're not back there somewhere. I need my diaper changed right now. I want something to eat right now. You know, they're always in the moment, and they put you in a place where you have to be in the moment with them. I have 3 adult children, and I raised 2 special needs children, and they kept me in the moment. You know, you have to plan for the future. That's just the wise thing to do. You have to plan for the future. You have to learn from your past, but especially when you're raising special needs children, you have to be right there. You know, because the needs are 4 or more times greater than a child that don't have particular needs. You know, so your little kid is a blessing to you guys for sure, because he's helping you to stay in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were talking about, living in the moment. Time flies when you're having fun, and time flies, and so even time flies when you're living in the moment. This whole quarantine, the next thing we know, it's April 13th, and the kid's almost going to be 7 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are like, when is this thing going to end? And sometimes me and the wife might say that, but then the next, but like you said, every 2 hours and 45 minutes, this kid needs a diaper change and a bottle.
Switch.
And
You
then,
got to switch.
and then the next thing you know, I'll wake up at maybe 10. I stay up late with the kid, and I let the wife go to bed early, and I'll do a bunch of feedings in the middle of the night. I might be working on some projects. And so then she lets me sleep in. She gets up early. She takes the kid in the morning. The next thing we know, it's 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's just diaper change, bottle,
Mm-hmm.
cuddle, he might fall asleep, or he might want to do some steam time in this little play thing or tummy time to work out his body. And then we might watch some episodes of something on Netflix. And the next thing you know, it's nighttime. And then it's the next day. And then it's the next day. Next thing we know, it's going to be June, and the whole quarantine thing might be over.
Mm-hmm.
It's summertime. The grandparents can come over. Me and the wife can maybe take a weekend vacation. Next thing you
Yeah.
know, it's going to be over. We're blessed to have that.
You are.
Yeah.
You really are, because it teaches you patience.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Patience.
What I know with special needs children, they're, like I said, they're adults now, but raising them, I don't know if I would have the patience that I have today had I not raised them. They taught me patience. They taught me more than I taught them.
Mm-hmm.
They taught me how to love in a different kind of way. They taught me appreciation. They taught me gratitude. They taught me patience. Your little kid is probably teaching you guys lessons that you don't even realize, and you may not realize until later.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a joke when we first brought the baby boy home. I had a bunch of rubber gloves from, for whatever other reasons. I had 3 boxes of rubber gloves. And so I was using those to change his diapers. And the wife's like, you have to get your hands dirty. And I'm like, I don't. I have all these rubber gloves. And so it was important. It was important to me because we had a bris for his circumcision. And so that was an extra need for the rubber gloves. And I had to like medicate this and then put diaper rest here. But once all that was done, it was just like, I ended up getting into the habit, not even bothering with the rubber gloves anymore. Because you start to become a semi pseudo expert with diaper changing and dealing with the poo and the pee. And like you said, you learn to do this, that, and the other thing, and have patience, and not even realizing you're developing talents that you never thought. Who would have thought 10 years ago I'd have a talent for changing diapers
There
and
you go.
wiping poop off and disinfecting areas, and just doing it barehanded, like, oh, then wash your hands real quick, and then hand sanitizer real quick. And it's these little things that you can
Yeah.
tack on. And and maybe for you, the military and being a parent helped with being an entrepreneur. And I think with me, being an entrepreneur, being a freelancer, and the grind and the hustle of every day is different, and packing in 10 different things in a day
Mm-hmm.
has helped me. Because the wife is like, I can't believe you're going 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night. I can't believe. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much. Because
This is
yeah.
just preparing you for whatever's next
And then for
in your
whatever's
life.
next. Yeah.
For whatever level, it takes you to a higher level. When I was taking care of my children, and they were in a house, I'm a mother. My husband, by that time, my husband was military. He did 4 tours in Iraq. So it was just me
Mm-hmm.
and the children. So I'm taking care of them. And at the same time, I'm trying to keep a cap on who I am without losing myself, losing who I am, the essence of who I am. So I'm doing videography, I'm writing books, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But at the same time, okay, you got to jump up, you got to cook dinner, you got to cook lunch, you got to make sure, you got to go out to the bus to make sure that they get off the bus. Okay, so all of these different hats, as you said, prepared me for a higher level to do what it is that I'm doing now. And the same thing with you. More than likely, you probably wouldn't be wearing all these hats had it not been for this. You're learning how to do this, and you're learning this, that, and the other. It's going to translate to something on a higher level once this is all over for you and your family. It
Right.
won't go to waste.
Yeah. No. And and being, you know, used to maybe a military deployment. I deployed once, and seeing these pockets of time to take advantage of downtime here or downtime there, taking on a small little extra project. When I was in Kuwait, we ran a jail, but there was so much downtime that I prepped so much civilian work, as I called it, and it was passion projects, and it was projects
Wow.
that I just kickstarted the second, you know, we got I guess technically discharged from the active orders, us being National Guard. But once we got back to the States and we were off active orders and we're back on M-Day status, it was like full time was kicking these projects that I had outlined or scheduled
Yeah.
or did breakdowns for, and just
Right.
start kicking
Right.
that in.
Right.
All these connections that I made on social media over there, and now so I'm kind of lucky in the sense where now I have all that downtime again. I have even more downtime. It's 24/7 downtime. There's a kid that I got to feed and bathe and change diapers and spend time with, and then passion projects. And there's stuff that I shot before the quarantine that now I'm editing, and now I'm putting the
Right.
final touches on, and I'm going to schedule and release, and then there's scripts that I'm just going to start knocking out, and there's, you know, different outlines of breakdowns that I'm going to put together. And so, like you said, having done that in the past has prepared me and given me a sort of mindset like I can do that here. It's different because I have a kid. I'm not a sergeant dealing with
Right.
a bunch of privates and
Right.
specialists. I only
Right.
have one kid,
hmm
but yeah, like you said, you know, like previous experiences give you that switch to where
It's about perception. It's
yeah.
it's how you look at a situation. You know, I pray and I feel for people who are in the situation, who are locked in with an abusive situation. You know, that's not a good situation, or some type of unfortunate situation where they are locked in. We're fortunate to be locked in a situation where we have freedom. We're not being abused. We're not abusing. We're not doing any of those kind of things. But it's in the perception. We can look at this like, oh man, I'm locked in. I can't go anywhere. Can't do this. Can't. Oh, look at all of the trees that you can't touch. That you know that look at that one tree you can't touch, but all of the trees that you can have, kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, so looking at it in terms of hope, for one. And I know one of your questions was, what are you doing as far as what you look at? I look at a lot of uh I look at Donna Reed. I think I looked at the whole series. I look at Andy Griffith's show. I'm looking at things um, that are family oriented, things that bring hope. I'm not saying that I abstain from the news or anything like that. Yeah, I look at the news, but I don't let that feed me too much. I don't want to. That's not what I want to consume all day long or all the time. So I'm looking at things that are going to change my perception or help my perception of the situation I'm in right now. So it's the perception of how you look at the situation that you're in. Are you going to look at it in a negative way? If you look at it in a negative way, guess what? You're going to have a negative outcome. It's going to come out in attitude. It's going to come out in how you treat other people. It's going to come out in your work quality. If you treat it as an opportunity for, like you said, uh, doing other type of passion work or doing other kind of things, and you look at it as an opportunity to reach out to people that you haven't reached out to before, check on other people, pray, whatever the case may be, that's what the outcome is going to be. And your mindset will be different. Your outlook will be different. The way you treat people will be different. And what comes back to you will be totally different than what comes back to people who are negative. And I also feel for people who are extroverts. You seem somewhat like an extroverted type person to me, because you know you're doing this podcast and you get maybe in between that a little bit, but because people who are extroverted and they don't have anybody, too many people in their household, extroverted people feed off of other people
Sure.
energy.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, that's what fuels them.
Hmm.
Introverted person, and I'm, believe it or not, more introverted, but I'm sort of both. People can drain me after a period of time. I love being around people
Yeah.
and all of that, but after a while people begin to drain me and I have to back up and go somewhere, and that's how I get my energy, from solitude. But people who are extroverted, this can be pretty hard for them.
Yeah.
But again, it's in the perception. What do you do? How do you think?
Absolutely. And going back to military and going back to a lot of, previous productions that might have been difficult, these productions, I always look at the bright side, and it's a corny cliche, but but I've always had in the back of my mind, what are the pros? Because if you're going to delve on the cons, you're never going to get anything accomplished. You're never going to, you have to look at the cons and try to work on them, of course. But there was one time, let's say, there was one drill that originally was scheduled a 3-day drill, and no one ever told me it was changed to a 2-day drill.
Mm,
So on what I thought was the first day of drill, I went to this place. I was sending text, "Where is everybody?" And they said, "Oh, drill was changed." And they were all apologizing. I'm like, "Oh, don't apologize. I've got a day off." And they're
mm,
like, "Wow, Sergeant Nelson's always on the bright side of life."
right.
And then, there's this criticism in the National Guard, drill sucks. They always say that we're going to do all this different kind of training, this drill and that drill, and we never do. And we're always just sitting around, and they can't get their head out of their butt to figure out, what are we going to do? And I'm like, you're getting paid to just chill out, just play on your phone. You should have known better. You bring your laptop. Most drills, if we're sitting around still trying to figure out when we're going to start a training class or something, I'm on my laptop, work, locking in freelance gigs, or I'm working on
There
a
you
side
go.
project. And uh, um, someone, one of the guys, one of the higher ranking than me, was saying, I could be at my other job getting paid way more money. And I said, aren't you on disability? You being here, you're still getting paid way more than we are through military disability, just showing up for drill to get your retirement, to check boxes, because you only have a year and a half left and then you retire.
Hmm.
But you're not getting paid for the drill. You're getting paid on disability to just chill out.
Hmm.
So just you're
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
getting and he's actually through disability getting paid than other ranks of his. Like, suck it up. Like, not suck it up, but eat it up.
Yeah.
And not just suck it up, but eat it up. Grab your laptop and just watch movies and get paid twice as much as other senior enlisted in your pay grade, because
Hmm.
you're getting twice as much as they are, because you have this kind of pay and not that kind of pay, and
And
so
it's all legal.
and it's all legal. And so it's like these little things to where, like, well, what's the upside? The upside is, you know, I'm not breaking my back on AV gigs, putting up lights and putting up speakers. Um I saved money, and the wife has saved money, and the wife is on maternity leave, to that we're doing okay. And I'm face to face with my kid 24/7. And the kid's starting to giggle and laugh. And when he looks at us, I can even tell that he recognizes me as dad. And
That's special.
he's starting to recognize me as dad and recognize my wife as mom.
Hmm.
And it's just, look at the bright side. And again, you and we're lucky enough to where we have these works in progress that actually, with all this downtime,
Hmm.
we can just make that our full-time job now. We have no
Yeah.
other choice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, my full-time job now is editing these 2 little passion projects, and then a documentary and a short film. And then after that, my full-time job is going to be to finish these 2 feature length scripts, and then maybe some shorts. and then see what happens there. Because once
Mm-hmm.
once the floodgates open and once the quarantine is lifted, it's like, all right, start working on the third seasons of what I edited,
Mm-hmm.
and start producing the scripts I just finished.
Mm-hmm.
I got these scripts. We can produce them now.
Right.
Let's rock.
Right.
As
Right.
opposed to
Right.
nope,
Right.
I still procrastinate on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the challenges is going to be like you've created a mode for yourself. I've created a mode for myself of doing things, but the things that we're learning in this process of time, once this quarantine is lifted, do we go back to the old way of doing things again, or do we take the things that we've learned and apply them then?
Yeah.
Not getting caught up in the rat race again, not doing all of these other things, busy work without effective work. Because right now we're learning to do effective work rather than just busy work.
Mm-hmm.
And so once all of this is up, it would be easy to get back into doing a bunch of busy work rather than effective work. So I think part of the challenge is going to be taking what we learn now and applying it after in the aftermath.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, individually, we will, this is an opportunity to sit back and realize what we were able to accomplish in this downtime. Lessons learned, procrastination, and avoiding procrastination, and avoiding wasted time.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
so now, like going back to what you said about patience, this is an opportunity to have, trained ourselves in patience, learning patience, and keeping that kind of patient mindset
yeah.
when then all the luxuries and
Mm-hmm,
freedoms
mm-hmm.
we get back.
That's actually the real fight.
Yeah.
That's actually the real fight, because during this time and all of the things that we've talked about, the real jewel or treasure has been self-introspection.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
is it? What is it about me? What is it do I need to change or repent, change a mind of?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do differently? What is it about me? And finding those things with the whole patience, insecurities, all these different things like that. And then once it's lifted, the real challenge and the real fight, and I would say daily, possibly daily fight for some, is going to be not reverting back, but holding on to those jewels. If you have find a jewel or a ruby that big, you're not going to be quick to let go. If you have it and something changes and you say, okay, go out there, you're going to be holding on to this while you're out there.
Exactly.
And this is the jewel that we're receiving right now, the
Yeah.
self-introspection, what we're
Mm-hmm.
learning.
Yeah. And maybe a stronger bond with those that you live with, those loved ones. Maybe you might communicate with people differently. I had a Zoom Easter. I had Easter.
Okay, that's nice.
I had Easter on Zoom yesterday with just about the same amount of people that would have showed up in person. And our conversations were a little bit different, and we were more engaged with each other instead of
Mm,
maybe if we got together, we would just sit in front of the TV and watch
yeah,
a football
yeah,
game, something, or maybe it's a basketball game for this season, but or just kind of like talking. A lot of times when family gets together, there's always the two cousins that just hang out the whole time, and they only talk to each other.
mm,
And then the older women might be talking to each other in another corner of the room, and then the older men are just sitting at a table drinking, not talking to each other. But this time,
mhm.
everybody was engaged. It was one big window with 17 little windows, and everybody was talking and had to be engaged with each other. And that's
Yeah.
how, you know, when people are leaving their house and getting together in person, they might keep that mindset and they might keep
Hmm.
that engaged kind of interaction, but in person.
In person.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
and
It'll be different for different people. Some people may retain some of that online kind of
hmm
thing, and some may have the in person. But like you said, the key is keeping it.
Yeah, keeping it, remembering that it's
Hmm.
like, and going back to the military, I lost so much weight and I was in the best shape. And I enlisted when I was 31. And when I got home from basic and MP school, I might have been 175 shredded. I looked like Rambo from Rambo 2, 2.5% body fat. And I think in a month, I went back to my usual 10 to 50% because
Don't
I
feel
did.
too bad. You're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. But right after MP school, I graduated MP school October of 2011, and by Christmas, I was back to my usual, kind of soft self.
It's a fight. I'm telling you.
But
That is the fight.
and that and that's all. Yeah, right. That's the fight, to hold on to. Okay, I've found this jewel, but I didn't hold on to it. And then when I went to Kuwait, lost a whole bunch of weight, got shredded, was in the gym all the time. Came back to the States, did a road trip with buddies of mine, beach, bars, beers, and babes, and gained all that beer weight back. It's like I lost the jewel again. I keep losing it, and I haven't learned from the first time or the second time or the third time. And
You're
so,
not alone. You're not alone.
well, you're right. It's about
That is the fight. I'm telling you.
yeah.
I was diagnosed with depression probably about 10 years ago or so. And I was on medication for a long, long time. I just took myself off of medication about 2 years ago. Um, and I took myself off, but what I'm trying to say is being on depression, being diagnosed with major depression, uh, you learn to fight every day, and even now, if I feel myself trying to or slipping into depression, I have to remember first thing I ask myself, because when I was in the hospitals, um, one of the things that I learned is that depression is anger turned inward.
Right.
And so if I'm depressed about something, the first thing I ask myself is, what am I really angry about?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I angry at? And then I have to deal with that. I can't be passive about it. I don't want to be aggressive about it. I definitely don't want to be passive aggressive about it, but I must be assertive. And I have to deal with that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I had to learn to do that until it became normal, my normal. And that was uh, a wedge in the depression, And so, have to deal with depression, you have to learn to fight every single day, and this what we're talking about is worth fighting for. Is it worth fighting for? Is my peace of mind worth fighting for? Yes, it's worth fighting for. Is that joy? Is that patience? Is that confidence? Is that worth fighting for? Is living in the moment, is that worth fighting for? Yes, it's worth fighting for. So I have to fight for it every day, and I have to be in a conscious mindset that this is what I'm going to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes complacency. So you find one way to hold on to that jewel, to fight. You find one way and you think that's the only way. But as things progress, that one way might not work anymore, or
That's true.
that one way needs a second tool, a second way, two ways, three
Mhm.
ways to compound on each other, to help fight and to hold on to that jewel. And I think a lot of times people get stuck in that, just that one way.
Mm.
And maybe
You're
when this
so true. That's so
and
true.
and maybe when this, because there's a number of different, there's a number of different ways to get down the street. It's not so, oh, they blocked off the road. Yeah, man, well, take a right and then a left and then a left and then a right. That's how you work, and a lot of people are like, oh, there's a roadblock. Okay.
Hmm.
You can walk, and you could just take trails. There's, and that's a terrible analogy, but there,
I understand what you're saying.
but there's more than one way to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's not,
Hmm.
And a lot of people get stuck. A lot of people get stuck in this mindset of, first off, they want to seem like they know what they're talking about. They want to seem like they know what they're doing, and they get and there's only one way, and it's my way, and that's not true. Now, maybe this one way has been working for decades. Also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But also, there might be ways to, put fuel injectors into it, because obviously a webcam, yesterday a family member had a webcam that only produced 360p, and now we have computers that are doing 1080p, and everyone's like, is your webcam dirty? The webcam still works. We hear her and we can see her, but it's time for a new webcam. That webcam had to be at least 15 years old. I remember buying that for that person, and hooking and helping them set up their thing 15 years ago. But yeah, and I think complacency, being a vet, you'll know complacency could get you killed.
Oh, yes, sir.
Someone's going to watch you and see like they do the same thing. Hey, doing the same thing over and over every day at 2 and at 4 and at 6. It works. It works. It gets the job done. It's productive. But complacency can also help the bad guys, or help the depression, help the disease, if you will, slip in and mess it up. So, when the wife says, hey, let's go out for Sunday brunch, out of the blue, jump on it, do it.
Right.
Because that's going to throw that fuel injector into your life, and be like, man, that was great.
Yeah.
We got to do that more often. Maybe not every Sunday at 2, because then it's going to get boring.
Right.
Now it's mundane, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the blessings of having a spouse is that most of the time we hook up with people who are opposite of us, or or I guess that's the word I can use, opposite.
Yeah.
And they really balance us out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the serious one. My husband is the clown. We both need each other. So yeah, very, very true.
You're right. My wife.
I'm talking about the complacency you were talking about, because that's an arrow in the complacency. When you have somebody who is opposite of you, and if they're spontaneous and you're not, oh, that's going to shut that complacency down right there.
Yeah. And again, my wife is very, very much a lady, and I'm very much like a handy, kind of more brutish guy. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff that she does that I love, when she and then there's things like when she has no idea what to do, that's where I can jump in, and I can do the more manly things, and she can do more womanly things, and not to reinforce, old stereotypes and old set of mind thinking, but that's kind of like what our relationship is. It is a bit of an older school relationship, but us both still at the same time being progressive. She said, I want to paint this room today while you're on a podcast. And I said, okay, that's great. And I still helped her out, and I would do like the painter's tape, and then maybe hopefully I go up there and it's painted right. I'm sure. But we're still progressive enough to where we can kind of do some of each other's jobs.
Yeah.
But there might be some things she can't do. There's some things I can't do. And that still kind of adds the spark. But if we were both painters, we wouldn't want to talk to each other about each other's jobs. If we were both, cab drivers, we would not care about each other's jobs. But if she was a nurse, and I was, in real life, she's a teacher, and I'm a filmmaker and an actor. So we have so much to talk about at the end of the day. What'd you do today? Oh, I played this and this, that, or I shot this, and we were here and this happened. what happened with you today? Oh, these kids. So this one kid did this, and so it's such drastically different stories
Yeah.
within the same relationship, within
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely helps to put an arrow in complacency.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you know, you have those different personalities, and you have one like my husband, he's a clown, and if he gets too over the top, I know how to bring him down,
Right.
you know, and that kind of shoots an arrow and all of that, and
Hmm.
he appreciates it, you know, and if with me, if I'm a little too serious, he knows how to make me laugh. He knows how to, you know, it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And I think, my wife a lot of times doesn't exactly joke with me the way I joke with her. And so what will really get a good prank out of me is she'll start doing something and I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? What is going on? And she'll get me riled up. And it's like once in a blue moon and she's like, pranked you. I'm like, yo, because every other day
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing
yeah,
really
yeah.
stupid, immature pranks,
Right.
prop pranks. I might, set something up to when she opens the door, it falls on her head, and she's like, "Oh,"
Okay,
every
okay,
other day.
okay.
But then
Yeah.
she'll set something up major, and I'm
Uh-huh.
really starting to get into my feelings. And then she's,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, got you back. And it's like
Ah,
the epic prank of all pranks. And
you learn from each other.
oh yeah.
You
And so
learn from each other. Yeah. I've
so
done that with my husband as well. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you taking advantage of you always being serious,
Yeah.
and then using that as a guise to really get a good prank out of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 It's great.
So
It's great.
I guess yeah, you kind of delved into my third point, which would be a film. What would be a film or series of films, or even a show, a series, or even a series of books, or just one simple book that you've watched, read, ingested that would say has impacted you in a positive way, helped you deal with the current state of affairs, that's on TV or streaming or a book or
Well, like I
something.
said, I'm not watching too many things that are new.
Hmm.
I'm not too much of a fan of the new stuff that's out, to be honest with you. Um, I, I did look at almost the whole entire series of Donna Reed. And I think,
Okay.
you know, that's like from what, 50s, 60s or something like that.
Okay.
I actually really, really enjoyed it. It helped me to get grounded again as far as family is concerned.
Right.
Um, uh, you know, I had some situation happen in the family, and my family, or between me and my husband, maybe about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and I went away for a little while and came back. Things were reconciled and all that, but there was a lot of hurt that was involved there, and so you had this um, kind of cloud that was there. You know, you're in the same house, you're doing things and all that, and everything's okay, so to speak. But there's still this cloud. And what this has done, um, you know, other things happen. I drew closer to God. The prayer, all of those kind of things like that. But when I started, since you're mentioning the TV show, I started watching Donna Reed, and it helped me to get grounded again where family is concerned, importance of family, connection with family, that kind of thing. So I would say, you know, for me, Donna Reed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I don't think I'm even familiar with Donna Reed. Well, I kind of recognize the name, but yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out
Yeah, Donna
because
Reed show it's called.
okay.
Black and white.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. The last for me, as far as positivity goes, I've been glued to Pluto TV's 80s Rewind because I guess for all intents and purposes, I am an 80s kid. And so the John Hughes movies, Spielberg and Lucas movies,
Okay.
the
Okay.
action adventure stuff, pretty much. So 80s Rewind, I mean, they've got some really, really low budget, corny, terrible sci-fi horror stuff. But they do have some of the 80s classics too. And just seeing, seeing some of the retro styles and always aiming for a happy ending. Maybe not some, maybe horror movies kind of go 50-50 on the happy ending, but these movies are always trying to aim for like that happy, emotional, uplifting ending. You know, movies like Teen Wolf, and you know, he chose
Yeah.
not to be the wolf, and he wanted to win the game on his own, and they did, and the whole school came together, and it was just some kind of wonderful, where he realized the love of his life was right in front of him, and it was his tomboyish friend for his whole childhood, and not the most popular girl in the school, but the love of his life was really his best friend for years, and these little moments that are uplifting and positive. And you know, the 80s kind of maybe wanted to delve a little bit more into, you know, drinking and partying and maybe some nudity in the movies, but at the same time they still were trying to aim for finding the one, and friendship and kinship and a happy ending. And I think you know, it kind of helps not only to pass the time, but just keep remembering that even me personally, I just feel like I've been blessed that I kept persevering. I just kept my eye on the ball as far as filmmaking and the acting, and you know, started to get gigs where I'm on TV and commercials that people.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. You know, shows that people are seeing, and I'm getting texts that they might see me in, commercials that my wife is still getting texts from her friends. I just saw the commercial again. You know, it's only, and granted, it's only three local regional commercials, and some TV shows that if people watch, you know, crime shows on ID, they're probably going to see me. But personally, I don't know that many people that watch those crime shows on ID, except for my father-in-law. And he's, well, I just happen to see you again. And, you know, it's little things like that, you know, drive you. But like I was saying, I do feel blessed somehow that I wouldn't say everything just falls in my lap and works out, but it's things. Maybe I'm just not realizing, because it's muscle memory, because it's just become a natural thing that I just keep plugging away, keep persevering, keep moving forward, and just keep at it, the little step by step every day, 1 or 2 steps towards a bigger goal. And that these things just, for lack of a better, they just happen to fall in place. You know, like, obviously I'm not world famous, and I'm not like the biggest movie star or the biggest, you know, world famous, biggest, richest filmmaker, but I have been blessed to where I have this, that, and the other thing that are steady enough to where I can continue to build and achieve what goals I have.
And that's success.
Yeah. And that is success. And I've said it numerous times on this show, you know, if you do what you love, you don't have to make $1 billion doing what you love. But if you make only so much, but you love what you're doing, quality of life and happiness is that second paycheck.
It's priceless.
Right.
You can't put a price on peace of mind. You know, you can't put a price on that type of happiness or joy. There's no price you can put on that. There's no amount of money anybody can pay you for that. That's priceless.
Absolutely. Which I guess will lead me to my next point. For you, what would you say your next agenda, your next goal or set of goals, your next set of plans, but I guess generally your next agenda for the next month or two, still, you know, still shut in?
Number 1, keep doing what I'm doing. Number 2, work toward expanding financially so that I can work even more effectively and not burn myself out. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's pretty much it. I have clients, yes, but I also have personal projects that I do. I want to be able to expand the television station, and that, when I say expand, I'm just talking about make it better. Work on making it better, fine tuning kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to just start fine tuning the things that I'm already doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. If you could leave our viewers with one piece of advice, one point to make, even one word, what would that be?
Evaluate yourself during this time. Do self-evaluation, because that is going to be key to more than likely everything that we do. And I think I mentioned it earlier. If we don't deal with ourselves now during this time, which is an opportunity, then however we respond to this, once it's over, we'll respond out there the same way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If we're negative here, whatever we're practicing right now, we'll practice when this is over.
Yeah.
So self-examination. If I'm already good being in this situation, I want to be better when I leave it. I don't want to be the same when the situation is over. Even if I was all right, I want to be better. Absolutely. So that would be the thing. Self-evaluation, and be honest, about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me. And is there?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So please, by all means, if there's anything you'd like to plug, any socials, any links you want to put out there, what is?
Well, if I would plug anything, it would be www.exclusif.entertainment.com, and that exclusive is EXCLUSIF as in Frank, spelled the French way. Exclusifentertainment.com. That would be it.
Great. Well, links below in the description. Check out Denise's website. I'll put some of her socials on here too. And again, Denise, thank you so much for joining me. And
thank you. I had a good time.
I'm further inspired. And again, like I said, these are the kind of discussions that I'm trying to put out there. The kind of advice and ideas to inspire, to keep people motivated, to get people to knock out what they need to be knocking out in a positive way while they're stuck in their basement.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. And
thank you.
And thanks everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, thumbs up, ring that bell for notifications, and check us out next time.
Take care.